Skylar Mays is about to take off. Again. If you've ever watched Skylar rise up through traffic, if you've ever seen him lift his eyes to survey the court, if you've ever seen him transform heartbreaking tragedy into inspiration for triumph, then you know what comes next. In a few days, Mays will embark on a new journey. The greatest student athlete in LSU history, whose name litters record books and honor rolls, has 3 letters in his sight. PhD? That can wait. Up first is the NBA. What comes next is obvious. But to understand how Skylar became Skylar, to understand how an ordinary kid from Baton Rouge became an extraordinary athlete and academic with limitless potential, you need to understand what came first.
When you're young, you just fall in love with the game, and it just happened to be basketball for me. It just wasn't football or any other thing. I know football is a big deal down here, but basketball has always just been my first love.
He was about 4 or 5 years old, and I was taking he and his brother Spencer to practice there. And just about the whole practice, Skylar just stood on the side and just kind of watched and was taking it all in. He's just been a cerebral guy ever since he, been little.
So I remember one time they were doing a basketball session, and his instructor was seeing what he could do with a basketball. So his instructor was trying to, guard him, and Skylar did a crossover move at 5 years of age, and the instructor fell down on his butt. So I said, his special talent with the basketball was his ability to dribble.
Competitive household, really competitive household?
It's a war zone. It's a war zone. We all played basketball.
When they weren't battling each other on the courts, Skylar and his siblings were shadowing their father, Dr. Stan Mays, at work. Medicine was in the family, just like basketball. Being a doctor, was that something at a young age, like when you're 3 or 4, or maybe 7 or 8 years old, and you're thinking about what you want to do when you grow up as a doctor?
Yeah, it was all I was around. My dad used to take me and my brothers along with him, and we used to just hang out in the waiting room, or he would just do his thing. But it was cool because we kind of got to see what was going on behind the scenes as far as how doctors interact with each other, and seeing that they're normal people. They're just really smart and really good at what they do, and I thought that was really cool, and it intrigued me a lot, and definitely played a part in me, going into pre-med and potentially being a doctor down the road.
My father died when I was in 3rd grade, so my oldest brother was basically like a father to me. And I knew that when I had children, I wanted them to be around me as much as possible. So my work entailed that I had to go to the hospital and do rounds. So I wanted them to get that exposure, not necessarily because I wanted to try to get them to have an interest in going into medicine, but just to be a father and spend time with my kids.
They were always active in sports, but if you didn't have your work done, it's not going to be any sports. Skylar's self-motivated. He's always been a smart kid. He and his older brother shared a room, and if Skylar had work to do and his brother was sleeping, he would actually turn a light on in the closet where it wouldn't bother his brother, and he'd sit on the floor and take care of his work. So it's never been an issue where we had to worry about his academics.
Basketball wasn't much of a worry either. Skylar's IQ off the court translated quickly on the court. He could see things others couldn't. He kept the ball on a string and controlled the game like a symphony conductor. It was just a matter of time before his speed of foot caught up with his speed of thought.
His gift of ability to handle the ball. The ball is really like a string off his finger. Then he's very cerebral. Then he's strong, and he just has such a high IQ in the game. All those facets have helped him to be, the player that he is now.
Always being one of the slow guys and getting beat to my spot by defenders, I had to have a counter that was really good. And the spin happened to be it, because I can just kind of spin off people once they think they got me cut off. So, being the slow guy for this long, it's made my spin move a lot better over the years.
So when did that explosiveness come onto the scene for you?
Yeah, well, I actually got my first dunk in 8th grade, and since then I never looked back. Once you get your first dunk, it's like man, I want to keep doing this.
You know, people would look at Skylar and underestimate him. Skylar may be the last player you would choose, you know, but that was the guy that was going to get the job done and win the games. People underestimate him, but that's what I remember about him. He just always being the guy that led everybody and made everybody better.
Once I was able to elevate over people, I definitely tried to take advantage. And, you know, when you look at me, I'm not the fastest guy, so sometimes people, you know, say if he's not fast, he's not explosive in any way, but I'm pretty good getting up off the ground.
He was about to take off, and no one could stop him.